Good morning, my name is Sophie and welcome to this week's vlog. I'm feeling on top of things this week. This week is Comic-Con week. I've been excited about this for a really long time. I'm really looking forward to Comic-Con this year. It's my first year I'm going to MCM Comic-Con in London, which I believe is one of the biggest comic conventions in the UK. It's one I've been to a few times before. Buying tickets to Comic-Con was actually the first birthday present I ever bought for Lucas in our relationship, which is a fun little fact, and we went to that in 2016. It's been 8 years since I first went. I think it's my 4th time going to the convention. Either way, I'm really excited. We've planned the whole weekend out. Well, no, we haven't actually. It's my first time going to Comic-Con since really getting back into reading and figuring out that there's actually loads of kind of bookish things to do at Comic-Con, so I'm actually planning to attend lots more panels and on stage shows, for want of a better word, than I have been in previous years. I've got a vague sense of the schedule of the things I'd like to attend. I need to collaborate that with the things Lucas wants to do, and then collaborate that with the things my sibling wants to do. It's going to be a packed schedule, so Comic-Con's going to be really exciting, but I'm going to try and have a chill beginning to the week, because being an autistic person, existing takes more energy than it does for neurotypical people. So I'm trying to chill as much as I can this week. And then my to-do list for today, during the week I put 4 things on my to-do list each day. I just find that is a manageable number of things that I can actually do. 3 of the things today require the car, require me driving. One of those is going to my tap class tonight, which is fine, but the other 2, I was going to go to the gym this morning and then I was going to go do our food shop, but Lucas has had to go into base, so he had to take the car, so I can't do those things. So what I'm now trying to do is get ahead on the rest of my to-do list for the rest of the week. Hopefully I can play catch up with those things later. I can nip to the little Sainsbury's near our house to get stuff for dinner. We should be fine. I do have a really bad heartburn at the moment, but we're going to try and ignore it. So right now I'm going to try and film some TikToks. I'm going to try and get ahead on editing this week, because I do not want to expect myself to edit TikToks whilst at Comic-Con, because that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to have the time or the energy for it. And that's roughly what my week is looking like. It's pretty chill. The weather's lovely. It's really sunny. I'd like to try and spend some time outside today, but we'll see how that goes. Not sure how taking my laptop into the sun will go, so I might try and save that for later. Yeah, currently reading. I'm currently reading The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, which is my book club pick for this month. My husband chose this from the wedding library. TLDR, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, first off, welcome, hi, lovely to have you. Second off, when my husband and I got married, we asked our guests to gift us a copy of their favourite book. So we have a little library of our favourite people's favourite books, and in an endeavour to read them all, we take it in turns each month to choose a book from the library, and I read it and he doesn't. I'm on my 2nd year of doing this. I call it a book club because it feels like it holds me more accountable, but it is just me. But if anyone else has read or would like to read The Kite Runner, you're more than welcome to read it with me. I'm co-reading it, so I have the audiobook on Audible, which is narrated by the author, which is exciting, and then I also have the physical edition, not to hand. The only book I have to hand is Daisy Jones and the Six, which I finished last week, and I'm about to film a wrap up. But yeah, maybe I'll go sit in the sunshine and read some more of The Kite Runner. I've got a dance class tonight. It takes about 25 minutes to drive there, and then obviously 25 minutes to drive back, so I get just short of an hour of listening time every time I drive to the dance studio, which is happening 3 to 4 times a week at the moment, where I'm kind of training to be a dance teacher. It's an option that we're just keeping on the cards, though I have booked my first paid teaching gig now, which I'm trying not to be nervous about. I'm trying not to think about it too hard, but that's fine. Yeah, so currently the only book I'm reading is The Kite Runner. I was going to pick a new audiobook, but I don't want to get distracted and give myself even more reasons not to finish The Kite Runner, because I had 7 books on my TBR for this month, and I was super excited because I read 7 books in April, so I was like, yeah, cool, I can read the 7 books on my TBR this month. Except I had a physical book and an audiobook carried over from April that I finished in the first week of May, and then I started a new audiobook thinking I could balance that with a physical read, and then I couldn't, so I had this audiobook that wasn't on my TBR, plus then I wanted a physical / I read that wasn't a co-read, so I put The Kite Runner down and picked up Funny Story, which is another book that isn't on my TBR, but I also finished last week. But I've now finished both the ebook and the audiobook, so now I can focus all my energy onto The Kite Runner and maybe actually finish at least one of the books on my physical TBR for this month. But it is only the 20th. In an ideal world, I would like to finish The Kite Runner in a couple of days, bearing in mind I've got driving to dance and then reading in bed. I might be able to finish it by Wednesday or Thursday. In an ideal world, I'd finish it Wednesday, and then the next book on my list is the next book in the Famous Five series, which is a children's book that's only just over 200 pages. So if I really focus, I could read this in one day, maybe two, and then ideally I would like to not take this to Comic-Con and then take this to Comic-Con, though Molly X Chang as an author is going to be at Comic-Con, but this book is already signed because it's the Illuminate version, so it would be really silly to take this to go get signed, especially when I would not have read it. But either way, this is the book I would like to take to read Comic-Con weekend, and then I've still got 4 more books to read after that, so we'll see how that goes. But that's my vague kind of plan. I have this unbridled optimism that I can still finish 7 books in 12 days when I've not read that much since I was on my honeymoon this time last year, where I read 8 books in a fortnight. And obviously I'm not on my honeymoon. I've got stuff to do. I'm not in a hotel in Greece. Welcome to the vlog. It's Comic-Con week. Enjoy! Out vlogging or maintaining filming stuff when I'm away or at an event. Multitasking and feeling present at an event whilst also getting footage of it is clearly not something that I'm very good at. I fully intended to vlog more intentionally at MCM Comic-Con this weekend, but I didn't do that, and now I'm home, so I thought I would talk you through the weekend and then give you a nice haul of everything I bought. There's a big old stack behind me, so, and that's not even including the books. We'll do that, then I'll do a little reading update, and then we'll move on. My husband and I first attended a Comic-Con 8 years ago, and I think this is our 4th time going to MCM specifically. They do lots of regional events, but we've always gone to the London one because it's most convenient, and we went with my sibling who met us in London, and then my mum was also there. I tried to keep the schedule relatively chill because I didn't want to commit myself to doing too many things and feel like I was missing out on other things. So there was a bunch of panels and author signings that I was interested in going to, plus a couple of other events, and then we mostly just mooched around the stores and looked at all the cosplays and watched the world go by. It was lovely. It was first off, I need to say it was a really lovely weekend. I think it was the most chill approach to Comic-Con. It was the most relaxed I felt there, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lovely weekend. So on the Friday, my husband and I decided to drive to the event rather than get the train because train tickets are just way too expensive, and it gave us the freedom to just chuck everything in the car and not have to worry about where our suitcases were during the day or having to check into the hotel early. It was so much easier, so much cheaper, and it was actually a relatively easy drive. It took us about 2 hours. I think we left just before 9 on Friday, so we weren't there bang on when the event opened on Friday, but we got there about 11. The way they did tickets this year is that it was like an actual physical pass rather than having to queue for ages to get a wristband and so on and so forth. So that process was way simpler than it has been in other years. We parked at the XL Centre, so we literally parked at the underground parking and then went straight on up into the convention centre, and we stayed at a hotel called the Good Hotel, which looks like a boat but it's not actually a boat, but it's right on the Thames, but it's like not even a 5 minutes walk to the XL Centre. It's right opposite a Tesco's, so it's good if you want to pick up a meal deal on your way in because the food in the XL Centre is extortionate. Yeah, it was really good. It was a lovely little setup. We got there about 11. We had a couple of hours just to mooch around and suss out where all the stages were and kind of figure out where everything was.
That is so cool. The stained glass Darling costume.
There's so many of them. There's like 4 of them. That's sick. Oh.
There's the 5th one on the left. The bronze one.
Oh yeah. Oh, he looks like he's floating.
That is so clever.
That's cool. You can see the wheels. And then the first panel we went to was called It's All Greek to Me. I believe, I'm trying to remember the authors off the top of my head. I know B. Fitzgerald and Rosie Hewlett were definitely there. There was a third person on that panel. I will try and put on screen all of the authors and participants in the panel. It was a really insightful panel. I love Greek mythology. It's such a special interest for me, and it was just really interesting hearing them talk about these stories that I'm so familiar with. Being surrounded by other Greek mythology nerds was really exciting. It was a really fun panel, and then straight after that panel the authors involved did a book signing, so I took my copy of Girl Goddess Queen by B. Fitzgerald and got that signed. Then my sibling wanted to go to a cosplay lip sync battle, which is definitely not something I've ever been to before. There was a drag queen who I'm sorry I don't remember the name of, who won a season of UK Drag Race, who had this amazing dress which had the Pokemon Jigglypuff in full sequins on the front. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I stayed for most of that, but I had to leave a little bit early because there was then another author panel that I wanted to go to, and it was a spotlight on Holly Jackson, the author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and the reappearance of Rachel Price.
I mean, it's the first sort of problem if you've got too many friendship races.
It is. Yeah, if I remove this, then if I ever have to write a sequel, then I could use that one tiny gap to like fit an entire plot into. It's lucky I did that, otherwise I'd have screwed myself over majorly. So that when like you see it on camera, it looks spooky, but like how it translates on the camera doesn't quite look how it looks in real life. So we're just in like smoky trees and it looks really weird. So yeah, it was an experience.
And that was so much fun. Holly is so funny. She's got a really dry, sarcastic sense of humour, which is exactly the same as in her books. So if you enjoy the humour in her books, you probably would have found her as funny as I did. I thought she was wonderful. So that spotlight was really chill and really chatty, and the guy that led that interview, I think his name was Ben, he was also an author, and I've added a couple of his books to my TBR as well because he was really cool, very chatty, really fun to watch. And then after that, Holly Jackson then did her own signing, which was really sweet because I'd gone to watch the spotlight interview on my own, and then by the time I got over to the signing, my husband had actually joined the queue for me so that I could sneak in a little bit quicker than I would have if I'd gone on my own. We were then still queuing for 40 minutes to get my book signed by Holly Jackson, but I got my book signed. It was very exciting, really, really fun. She was wonderful, and that was the kind of last event that we attended on Friday, and then we just mooched around, looked at all the shops, basically until the con shut. I think we stayed there pretty late, and then we went and got our suitcases from the car and took a very long-winded walk round to the hotel, at which point I was just very excited to check in and sit down. I'd been on my feet all day. We met up with my mum and my sibling. We went for a nice little Italian meal. It was very yummy, and then we just sat and chatted for the rest of the evening. The hotel was a bit weird. The rooftop bar closed at like 9:30, so we just wanted somewhere to sit and chat, and it was warm, so it was nice to be outside, and they were like, no, you have to leave. Okay, fine. And then we went back to our room, and I immediately felt flustered because the rooms were really, really small. I don't think I got any footage of the rooms. I wanted to be able to sort all my stuff out and put away the books that I'd already got signed and go through the stuff that I'd bought that day. So I then spent, I reckon, at least an hour sorting through my backpack, my suitcase, basically unpacking and repacking everything. And then there wasn't any bedside tables in the room, which doesn't sound like a massive deal, but for someone with glasses, being able to put them within reaching distance when you wake up is a big deal. So my husband and I then propped up our suitcases and popped them down the side of the bed, and there was only about, my suitcase is maybe this wide, and there was only about that much space on the side of each side of the bed. So we then kind of slot the suitcases in to act as a bedside table, and then I had my phone and my book and my glasses propped on that for the night. So that was day one. Day two started earlier than I wanted it to be honest, but I met up with my family and we went for breakfast at about 8. There was a lovely hot buffet at the hotel, so we stocked up on that because we'd paid for it, so we were making the most of it, and if we ate lots then we would eat less at the con. We were all cosplaying on that day, so my sibling was dressed up as something from Critical Role. I can't tell you the name of the character. They did try to tell me the name of the character, but I can't retain it. And then my husband and I both had Spider-Man costumes, which was very fun. I went as Spider-Gwen, I wore this hoodie, but I did actually have a full lycra suit as well, which is not something I would have felt confident in doing in any other scenario, but honestly, walking around in skin-tight lycra and no one batting an eyelid can only happen at Comic-Con. That was a really special experience, to feel so comfortable and to be surrounded by so many other people dressing up regardless of their body type. That was really fun, and especially that my husband and I got to kind of coordinate. That was super fun, except for the fact that we both had covered hands. We basically had, because it's like a full body suit, so we had these gloved hands all day, so using our phones or picking anything up or getting our cards out of our wallets and purses, really challenging. So that was an interesting curveball that I will take into account for next time. The first thing I had on my schedule for that day wasn't until 1:15, and it was back with Holly Jackson, but it was on the main stage this time. It was looking into A Good Girl's Guide to Murder TV adaptation for BBC 3. So we got the first look at a teaser trailer, and the release date for the actual series was announced to be July 1st. It was really, really exciting. There was an interview panel with Holly Jackson, the author, obviously. I think the director of the first 3 episodes of the series, because I believe there's 2 directors, and then Emma Myers, who plays Pip, Zane something, who is going to play Ravi. I'm really sorry, I've not committed these names to memory. And then another actress called Asha, who plays Cora. I am hoping to reread A Good Girl's Guide to Murder before the show comes out, so I can have that direct comparison. And what was really good was that we went to go join the queue, and we were maybe 20 minutes early, and there was people already in the queue. And so I went to talk to a steward, like, oh, is this a queue for Holly Jackson? So I didn't accidentally join a queue for something that was too early. And they said, yeah, that's the Holly Jackson queue. And I was wearing my sunflower lanyard because I'm not officially autistic yet, but we're 99% sure that I am autistic. So I had it on. And then one of the stewards went, oh, you can go join the accessibility queue if you like. And I was like, yes, absolutely, I would like that. So we ended up being on the second row, which was really exciting and really fun that I didn't have to stand in that queue. After that, we then just did more mooching until the next panel I went to back at the creator stage, which is where all the bookish stuff was. It was called Magic, Murder and Mayhem, but that was really fun. It was just a lot of talk about fantasy and how different aspects of fantasy can be integrated in so many different stories, and it was really fascinating. It was really fun. And after that I went to a signing for S.T. Gibson because I'd bought a copy of A Dowry of Blood, which was really fun. I'm still no better at actually talking to authors. I'm a bumbling, awkward mess. Then there was another panel called Stranger Than Fiction, which is more about the research process of writing a book, with 3 authors that I'd never heard of, but all sounded very interesting and all spoke really insightfully, so that was fun. Then there was another panel after that that was called something about darker fiction, and I think all of the authors involved were horror writers, but the main reason I wanted to see that panel as someone who is not a horror reader was that it was led by Derek Landy, who is the author of Skullduggery Pleasant, which is a series my husband and I have loved since we were preteens, and it was really fun getting to see him. Very Irish. I don't know why I didn't realise he was Irish, but he is most definitely Irish, and he has a really good sense of humour, so that was a really fun panel. And after that he then had a signing. At this point it was kind of 10 to 6, so we'd been at con for 8 hours probably, and I think we spent maybe not quite the full 40 minutes that we were queuing for Holly Jackson, but we definitely spent quite a bit of time in the queue for Derek Landy, but it was really sweet. He was so kind. That was really fun to get a book that I first read when I was 12 signed by the author. Was really that, I think that one meant the most. Holly Jackson was super fun, but to get a book signed by Derek Landy, who was such a formative part of my love for reading, was really good. Then after that, Lucas and I, still dressed as spider people, went to go get some food, and then we were staying into the after hours part of the con, because there was a 2-hour Doctor Who screening and Q&A where they were showing the episode that was being aired on the BBC that night. We got to watch the episode 73 Yards in a room full of other Doctor Who nerds, and then we got to watch a Q&A panel with the director of the episode, the executive producer, costume designer person, and then one of the actors who was in the episode and has been playing a recurring role since 2012. So that was all very exciting. So that was Saturday. We didn't get out of there until gone 9 PM on Saturday, so it was a really long day, but super worth it and super fun. Then on Sunday we went again for an early breakfast, just because it gave us the most time to get ready and get packed and everything. I very much enjoyed organising my suitcase, and I feel like I'd got it all sussed by then. Everything went in very easily, and then we went on, dropped off the suitcases, took them straight to the car, and then went up for the last day of con. At that point we had seen everything on the floor. We'd been to look at every single stall and basically everything that was going on, and we were just kind of mooching, doing some last minute shopping. There was a couple of bits that we'd been thinking about buying for a few days, so we went back to make those purchases. And then there was a panel with Derek Landy, the author of Skullduggery Pleasant. He did a kind of spotlight interview like the Holly Jackson one, so me and my husband went to watch that, which was super fun. He was clearly more comfortable being interviewed than he was being the interviewer, but he was very good at both. It was really fun to listen to that panel, and really nice to see that there was some kids who really loved Skullduggery Pleasant in the audience. Considering I was one of the kids that was the right age when the first book came out, it's really nice to see that the series is still as interesting and relevant to kids that age now. It did make me feel a bit old, but similarly Derek Landy did talk about how he wanted to turn Skullduggery Pleasant into a more of an adult series, but because it keeps being relevant and being liked by current middle grade readers, his publishers just aren't really interested in him doing that. So it did make me feel more reassured as a reader that he has me in mind when he's writing. Not me specifically, but you know what I mean. And it really is a series that can be enjoyed from anyone of middle grade reading age and up. Very fun, very fun. We stuck around at the creator stage and we watched a panel called Getting Witchy with It, which was definitely the best panel I saw all weekend. The authors involved were Sangu Mandana, who is the author of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I do have a copy of, but I decided not to take because 1, I haven't read it, and 2, I bought it from a charity shop, so I didn't actually directly support the author by buying it, and I didn't want to have to admit that to her, so I didn't take it with me. But I definitely want to read it more now because it was such a fun panel and she came across so well. They had a really great dynamic and it was really fun, really chatty, and it was just women talking about witches. I mean, it was super fun. It was super fun. And then after that, the last thing that we attended on that day was the signing of those authors, and I went to get some of my Vic James books signed. I'll hold them up because they're on the top. This is the Dark Gifts trilogy. I don't own book one. It's called Gilded Cage. It's fantastic, and it was on Kindle Unlimited, which is how I have read this series without owning book one. But this isn't her witchy series. She was listed on the panel as VV James because her more recent release, Sanctuary, is released as author VV James, and I didn't realise until quite last minute that this was the same author. So I was really excited to go and get these books signed, and I think it really meant a lot to her as well because obviously she was there for her witchy book. So for someone to come along with her older fantasy series was really exciting for her. She described them as like her original book babies, and I had like a 5-minute chat with her, which I was very lucky that my husband was with me and he was prepared to hold my phone and film the whole thing. I don't know how much of it you'll be able to hear, and that was that. We after that we were both definitely ready to come home. We were absolutely knackered. We'd seen everything we wanted to see, we'd bought everything we wanted to buy, so we put our books in our bags, climbed into the car, drove home, picked up some pizza on the way, and had a lovely evening on the sofa. And we both slept incredibly well last night, and I will sleep incredibly well for the next few days. I'm absolutely in recovery now. I am knackered, but that was our Comic-Con weekend. Then arguably onto the more fun bit. Here's all the stuff. I don't know what I'm starting with. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I suppose the first thing I can say I bought was this t-shirt, MCM 2024. I have a t-shirt from 2018, and I'm not too fussed about buying a t-shirt every time I go, but this one's really cool. My husband and I both like this design enough that we've both got one. Let's go through this pile of stuff. So in no particular order, here's all the stuff I bought that wasn't books. So firstly, we got this little Ghostbusters plush because look at him. For one, he was only £5, so like, I was like, that's a steal, absolutely. For two, he's super cute. Then we have a few tote bags. So when we bought our con merch, we got a free tote bag. Then I also bought a Doctor Who tote bag. It was run by Forbidden Planet. So on one side you got Forbidden Planet, and on the other side, the most recent Doctor Who logo. There was a big Forbidden Planet stall, and they were selling most of the books. They were selling all of the books at the con, so when I went and bought the books that I bought, I got a free tote bag which was themed on, what's it called, Out There Screaming, the anthology by Jordan Peele. I'm not a horror reader and I will definitely not be reading this book, but a free tote bag is a free tote bag. And inside the tote bag we have so much stuff. Oh yeah, my husband and I picked up these 3D printed Pokemon which we thought were really cool. So we have Eevee. I don't think it's going to focus, but we have a little Eevee with her cute little tail, and then a little Pikachu. Okay, so in this little bag, there are so many cute little like Etsy illustrators there, and I tried to support as much as I can, but there's only so many £3 stickers I can afford. So this is the most bookish stuff I could find all weekend. So I got 3 stickers, one that says Never Ending TBR Pile, I hope that's in focus, one that says Audiobooks Count as Reading, and then so many books, so little time. Very cute. This is from a shop called Alice Illustrate, and then there was a books sticker set, so obviously I had to get that, and then a bookish sticker sheet. I will be definitely using these in my journal. And then I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to use this for, but there's a book review notepad. It's this book review notepad in full colour where you can put the details of the book, the star rating, and any thoughts. I'm not sure how I'm going to use this because obviously I have a book journal that I love and I update very regularly, but I couldn't resist. It was too cute, and it was only £6. It was incredibly reasonably priced. This feels like a lucky dip bag because I obviously haven't sorted everything I got from Con yet. Here we have some bookmarks, and I picked up a lot of business cards because obviously there's so many sellers and I would have loved to have bought something from all of them, but I just can't. That's c'est la vie. So I try to pick up as many business cards as I can, and then I'm hoping that maybe in the next few months or maybe even years I will come back to them and hopefully be able to support them in the long run, because there were some gorgeous little businesses. Oh yeah, from the Doctor Who stall I also picked up this free bookmark. Then I also got this beautiful bookmark. It's kind of, I don't know if it's specifically D&D themed, maybe fantasy themed, but it's just beautiful. I love it, and it's got a lovely little tassel on it. And then I think this was actually a business card for a business called Golden Petal Emporium, but they were bookmark shaped, and because I had my Spider-Man hands on I accidentally picked up two. Then there was one store, I know exactly what this is. I got really excited to see artwork of Shigo from Kim Possible, and I could have bought an art card, but I knew I wouldn't do anything with it. So this bookmark, even if it just sits in my little bookmark shelf, I was obsessed. I really love this. Also from Forbidden Planet I got this free pin. They did tell me what book it was from, but I hadn't heard of it. I can't remember it. This little dragon sticker came with a free sample of a book that I picked up, and I haven't, that is somewhere in here, so I haven't got to that yet. The next little bag of things, these are a mix of Pokemon stickers and just generic cute animals. So we have a little Squirtle that says hydrate, which I thought I would stick on my water bottle, a Froggy that says I am chef. I'm going to put that up in the kitchen. Then we have a Igglybuff, I think, or a Cleffer that says I am baby. My Pokemon knowledge is mediocre apparently. And then last but not least we just have this fat little Charmander, and I just couldn't leave him behind. Then from Bunny's Beads I picked up these beautiful earrings. I'm obsessed. For one, they're on a little playing card. For two, they're little astronauts sat on the moon, and I am a space aesthetic girly, so I'm obsessed with these. More stickers and a notepad. So from Cave On Doodles and McKenna Doodles Design on Etsy I got this sheet of witchy mushroom stickers, and then this to-do list pad which has little mushrooms as the tick boxes. I'm so excited to use this. I think it's just the cutest. Then from Demon Hunter Bricks, so this guy, Demon Hunter Bricks, designs his own Lego builds. So he takes nerdy things that don't already exist within the Lego company and uses authentic Lego bricks to make these little builder packs. And we bought one of the kits for the 11th Doctor's screwdriver, another Doctor Who thing. So I picked up a cardboard bookmark for Evocation by St. Gibson, which has this fun artwork on the back. Then there was a cardboard bookmark for the reappearance of Rachel Price, which I have got and already read and loved, so had to pick that one up. We have even more business cards. Then I bought another tote bag, except this one is a gift for someone. I started Christmas shopping, so I'll hold up this side and tell you that it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm really excited to give it to the person I bought it for. So these aren't going to make any sense, and there is no label of the seller who sold me these, but I had to buy some earrings that are forks because, long story short, on my husband's and I first ever date, we got Chinese takeout and went and sat in a local park because it was bonfire night and wanted to watch the fireworks, except we sat in a park that was surrounded by giant trees, so we were just sat eating a Chinese, hearing fireworks and not being able to see them. And after we finished eating, we were just carrying this bag of empty food containers and we went down towards the pier in Southampton. The fireworks had finished, but we did go and sit on a bench and watch some fireworks that were on the Isle of Wight, which was really nice. But we got sick of holding this bag of empty food containers. We were like, just throw it away, it'll be fine. But what we hadn't thought about is that the forks we'd brought with us to eat the food were also in the bag, so we threw away those forks as well. and it's become a running joke, so I had to buy the fork earrings. Then from an artist called Eve Paints Illustration and 3D Animation, who does not have an Etsy but has a Patreon, had an amazing selection of stickers, including this Squirtle Squad sticker, and then this really cute little frog that says I have no idea what I'm doing. And she had a deal where if you bought 3 stickers you could get a 4th one for free, so I got 3 of that frog because I thought I need to put that everywhere. And then they had some beautiful sticker sheets, so they had this one from Avatar The Last Airbender of the characters, which was really cute. There was a Pokemon one, and then there was also this froggy one. It was really cute, so I had to get it. We have the folded down TARDIS popcorn boxes. We just thought this would be the safest way to transport them, so we have 3 of those. Then we picked up this print which didn't survive very well. It's been a little bit creased, but we're going to put it in a frame, and it's this Bluey inspired print that says it's a kids show and I'm the kid, and we are big Bluey fans in this house, so we couldn't not get it. This is super great. Seller is called Edame Wok, and I bought this Spider-Man as a mushroom sticker, this Link from Legend of Zelda as a mushroom, and Appa from Avatar The Last Airbender with a little mushroom head. I couldn't not. Again, they were on 3 for £5 or something, so that was a really nice deal. And then from there we also bought this print, and there's this print, it's Multiverse of Mushrooms, I think it says. It's got a bunch of different superheroes and characters as mushrooms, and I want to put that up in my kitchen. The t-shirt I got when I bought the Doctor Who tote bag, and it's this TARDIS t-shirt. I just thought this design was sick. It's so cool. And then last but by no means least, we have the MCM Comic Con hoodie. I just love these colours. The design's super fun. I got it in a slightly bigger size, so it'll be more oversized. It's so comfy. I just love it. I just love it. It was expensive. I think this was probably the most expensive single item that I acquired over the weekend, but no regrets, literally no regrets. So that was everything. I have done the maths on how much I spent, but I don't want to share. Not even done the books yet, and I'm too warm, so I'm going to take this jumper off. So I've separated the books into 3 piles. We have the pile of books that I took with me to get signed, we have the pile of books that I bought, and the pile of books that I acquired, which sounds potentially more criminal than I intend it to, but I'll explain. Firstly, the books that I took with me to get signed. I've already mentioned the ones by Vic James, Tarnished City and Bright Ruin are books 2 and 3 in the Dark Gifts trilogy, which were both signed. She was so cute. I chatted to Vic James for like 5 minutes. She was so nice. Really, really, really pleased I got them signed. And I said to her, when I get, I'm gonna have to buy book 1 and find her again so that I can have a whole signed collection. I took my copy of Skullduggery Pleasant, which was the one I acquired when I was 12 in like 2008 or 9, and Derek Landy. Oh, I still got the post-it note with my name on it, but he drew a little skull. So that was really fun. And then we also have one of these World Book Day novellas because my husband wanted something to take to get signed, so we got that one for Lucas as well. Then we have the Holly Jackson books. I took my special editions of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood. I really should have taken the reappearance of Rachel Price as well, because there were some people that took literal stacks of books, so definitely need to be less shy about it next time. But similarly, I would have had to carry it around as well, so yeah. Then we have Girl Goddess Queen by B. Fitzgerald. So those were all the books I took with me. Then let's go on to the ones I bought. 2 of these I'd planned in advance that I wanted to buy at Comic-Con. I set myself a limit that I only wanted to buy 3 books, and there were some books that I was saving. I'd seen in Waterstones a few times, and I was like, nope, I know that author's going to Comic-Con, so I'll buy it there. The first of those books was Medea by Rosie Hewlett, and I was going to buy an unsigned version of this and get it signed, but they had signed versions at the Forbidden Planet stall, and I thought, you know what, I've not read this book yet, so it makes sense. I'm not actually too fussed about actually meeting the author, so I bought the pre-signed one and saved myself a little bit of time and having to join another queue. The other book that I decided to buy at con, again because the author was there, was A Dowry of Blood by S.D. Gibson. I think I already said, but then I did go and get that one signed. Then again, I think I've already mentioned I bought Sanctuary by Vic James, slightly different author billing. I was going to buy the first book in the Dark Gifts trilogy, but they didn't have that for sale, so I thought, you know what, I already budgeted to buy that book, so I'll let myself buy this book. So this was the 4th book I bought. This was the one that I technically shouldn't have bought because I'd already met my 3-book quota, but there's that one. But then this is a book that I really didn't intend to buy, but I was overwhelmed by con and just excitingness. So they had, Forbidden Planet had this little bundle of Song of the Six Realms by Judy I. Lin with this art card and a bookmark, and it was really good value. It was only $15.99 for this hardback book, the art card and the bookmark, so I was like, well, I want that because it's pretty. But the way they've packaged it and the fact that it's all sealed up means I couldn't actually read anything about what the book's about, so I took a real gamble on that, but it was too pretty to leave behind. Those are the 4 books that I bought at con. And then one of the things that I wanted to attend at this MCM Comic Con was a book talk book swap. I mentioned in a TikTok that I filmed before the event that the books I was taking were all duplicates of books that I love and already own. So that was The Bride Test by Helen Huang, The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So I took those books and swapped them for a copy of Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which was on my digital TBR, because on Storygraph you can add books to your want to read shelf, and I do that liberally. I do it all the time. So this book was on my digital TBR and I've wanted to pick up a copy for a long time, and for one, I think this copy is stunning, and it was there and it was free, so I did it. I don't think I've read anything by Neil Gaiman on his own. I've read Good Omens, which is him and Terry Pratchett, but I don't think I've read a just Neil Gaiman book, so looking forward to reading that, making my TBR even longer. Then I picked up this hardback edition of Caraval, which doesn't have the dust jacket, but it's Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I haven't read any of, I know this is a series that comes before Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I do intend to read both series at some point, but I hadn't picked up anything from Caraval, and I know it's not got the dust jacket, but you can buy dust jackets online. So I thought, to get a hardback copy of Caraval, very exciting, and this cover is really pretty, so I couldn't leave that one behind. And then the most exciting find, I own the entirety of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas, and I have the first book in the Crescent City series, but I've not read any of them, because the series I think I want to start with from Sarah J Maas is Throne of Glass, because it's finished, and I think it would be nice to read a series from start to finish and knowing it's actually finished rather than having to wait for the next book to come out. So I've had Throne of Glass on my radar for a long time, and I was thinking I would go to Costco or something and pick up the box set, but to find a hardback, I think this is an American first edition. I'm not entirely sure, I've not completely deciphered the preamble at the beginning of the book, but I'm pretty sure this is an American first edition. To find this in hardback is rare anyway. I don't think I've ever seen a hardback copy of a Sarah J Maas book that wasn't a new release. So now I own Throne of Glass. I'm really excited about it. So to have gone to the book swap and picked up 3 books that are all already on my radar was really fun. I could have spent ages looking at books that I hadn't heard of and, you know, finding new books to read, but to actually find 3 that I was already really excited about was very fun and very exciting. And last but by no means least, we have some books I picked up for free in exchange for a review. Does that make them my first gifted books? Maybe, I'm not sure. But the series is called The Children of Pisces by R.E. Lewin. The first book is called The Two Pendants and the second book is called The Crystal Earrings. These are older versions of the covers, hence why they were being given away, but there is newer, very pretty covers. Worth having a look on the author's website if you're interested. This is a kind of sci-fi dystopian post-apocalypse sibling or found family story. Yeah, it genuinely sounds really good. It's a YA title. Genuinely think it's brilliant. I've not read them yet, but I will be absolutely prioritising these before the end of the year, so keep an eye out for a review. Definitely not short of new books to read, that's for sure. I've had a very successful con, let's put it that way. Really pleased with everything I picked up. Had a lovely weekend. I think as long as you're kind of mentally prepared for crowds, it's not too bad. Generally people are pretty respectful. Everyone's super nice about cosplays. It's lovely to compliment someone on their outfit and watch their whole face light up. Super fun. Genuinely a really fun weekend, and now I'm super inspired to both write a book and do a proper cosplay. Just I suppose a quick caveat at the end of books I actually read last week. I think did I speak about finishing The Kite Runner? I finished The Kite Runner on Thursday. I rated it 5 stars. It was absolutely fantastic. It was one of those 5-star books that you don't enjoy reading. It's a really harrowing and human, dark book, but it was just incredible and so insightful. Really glad I had the opportunity to read that. It's extended. I've read 4 5-star books in a row now, and that's just amazing, but I know I'm going to break it because I'm currently reading a Famous 5 book which I don't like enough to give 5 stars, but that's fine. Next week's vlog I think will be themed on seeing if I can finish my TBR in the last 5 days of the month, but I am in post Comic-Con recovery, so that will either mean I do nothing but sit on the sofa so I have lots of time to read, or I don't have the brain power to read. Not sure which way it's going to go yet, but firstly I need to tidy up all of this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're reading a great book, and I'll see you next time for another bookish video.